Hello, YouTube. Welcome back finally to WWIY Women. What inspires you? It's been a bit of a hiatus, but we are back and we are back in action with Juliet Kaczmarek here joining me.
Hello.
Hey, funny story. Juliet and I connected in 2016 or 17 when we did our primary care paramedic program together. But previous to that, we had both went to, I think, St. Joseph's Elementary way back in the day.
Yep.
So welcome, Juliet. I'm so excited to have you here. We're going to just start off like right from the top. So tell us a bit about yourself. Where are you from and what fulfills you in life?
Awesome. I love these questions. So I'm Juliet and I'm actually from Kelowna and I have lived here pretty much my whole life. I've traveled a lot and every time I travel, I come back and I just love the valley. I love the warmth. And so far, I've been a student pretty much my whole life and I've been able to complete schooling here. So living in Kelowna. And yeah, I'm just finishing up my master's of social work now. Yeah, thank you. Okay. So that's been a couple years, and I'm actually doing a practicum at the pain clinic right now. So it's both private practice and pain clinic work. So I'm also a yoga teacher and a yoga nidra teacher, which is a type of deep relaxation. And I also, was a paramedic, and prior to that, did a degree in human kinetics. So where what that's leading me towards is having a private practice where I can incorporate all of so essentially it'll be a somatic based approach, which really means a body based approach. So we're using the body, bringing in the mind, and looking at it's that holistic therapy. So that's kind of what I'm really into. And what fulfills me in life is really being active and being in nature, as well as, so it's actually a bit of a paradox. I like being really active, and I also really appreciate stillness and presence. So I find that when I slow down, whether that be my thoughts or just my simple awareness, regardless of what I'm doing, that's the most fulfilling for me. So I find, when I'm on a hike or mountain biking, the moments where my focus and my attention is really in the present moment, those are the most fulfilling moments, regardless of
love that. Yeah, it's so true. I mean, first of all, achiever, you have your fingers in many pies, as the saying I think goes, but it's really nice. That's why I feel very connected and drawn to you, because you do have the kind of busybody, you're always doing something, but you're also all about, slowing down, the deep relaxation, meditation. And I think, as you said, like that's very important to have those moments where you're active, but it's like you're in the present moment and not, your brain is like mine. It's going 1,000 miles a minute thinking about so many things. So I really like that. And hopefully, other people, women especially, can incorporate that. They're always just so busy, whether you're a high achiever, a stay-at-home mom, anything. I think incorporating some practice into your life is so essential. So speaking of women and all their amazingness, what, or who I should say, is your biggest inspiration and why?
Oh, I love this question too. So thinking about it, my first response, and it's not from, I'm not pumping my own tires or from an ego way, but I really do think it is me. I inspire me, and it's not so much me as in the mind, but my intuition. And so what inspires me is that I do listen to that deeper voice within, and I'm willing to evolve. So for me, it's like tuning into this barometer that sometimes it's like, like that voice that's saying, whoa. And even though, even though it's easy to kind of fall on a train of like what I should do or what I think that needs to get done, it's actually really challenging, but to be able to tune into that inner voice. So yeah, it's been hard work, like the inner critic and that voice, that voice that's the inner critic, if anyone has heard of. Yeah, it's really loud, and for me, my work has really been to recognize how, like, what the voice is saying, noticing that it's been oftentimes that voice is downloaded at an earlier age. So it's what we pick up on in our environment. So I have been willing to step out of conditioned norms, ways of being, and I think that's pretty awesome. So yeah.
Oh, I love that answer. First of all, it's super unique and the first one I've heard on this entire show. I think this is the 6th episode or so. And nobody has said that, but I love it. It's not from a place of, oh, I'm amazing and I just inspire everybody. It's like, I know that I'm my own worst critic, but I can also be my best asset, because when you utilize your mind in a positive way and you're evolving, like you said, and changing and allowing yourself to feel these different things and learn from them, like, how could you not be inspired? It's so incredible to hear that. And I love the kind of your logic behind it, I guess. It's really, really cool. So let's carry that forward. We're inspiring each other, but like inspire ourselves as well. Yeah. Ah, amazing. Well, thanks, Juliet, for your honesty. And we'll move right into number 3. So tell me and everybody about a hardship that you faced in life and how did you overcome it?
Yeah, so I don't think that I'm currently at a stage where I can talk about like specific previous experiences that have shaped me, but one that I will talk about is, I would say, is anxiety, like feeling true anxiety and recognizing those signals within, signals that are saying I'm not good enough or not enough. That's been like a driver. And so something with the work that I do is also looking at epigenetics. Funny story about that is like recognizing that past traumas get passed down to people. And so one example was, I was at a grocery store. We were doing like we were doing a group breakfast or something like that on a trip that I was on. And then I looked at the lineup and I just was like, I don't know if we'll have enough food. And then, this is all subconscious, I went back to the store, I grabbed a potato and came to the till with one potato. And I was like, well, this one potato will be enough. I can make some hash browns or something like that. And it wasn't until like my boyfriend actually just kind of noticed it. And I looked at my hand and I was like, oh my gosh. And so my parents immigrated here from Poland, and yeah, like they grew up with food stamps in communism, and so prior to that with the war. So it's something that I'm recognizing that yeah, that like recognizing that kind of has apparently conditioned me a little bit. But with saying that, in terms of overcoming the anxiety, I would say that it's it's consistent work, but just like anything else, what I'm really learning is, the best way with exercise, really the best way is not to do it like one day hardcore and then take the rest of the week off. But if you can do it more frequently, that has lasting effect. So for me, attending to the anxiety, I really use yoga nidra, which is that guided relaxation. And it's also really helpful for trauma. So listening to those help. I kind of call that my medicine every day. And yeah, and I also partake in therapy myself. Embodiment practices are huge. So essentially what that means is you're moving from your mind into your body. So you're feeling your feelings. And it's pretty powerful to do that, because oftentimes we move into the mind and into analysis in order to not feel the actual sensation in the body of discomfort or unpleasant. So the feeling of fear or the feeling of frustration, for example. So that has been my work, is to actually feel those things. And then what's really interesting is that they actually shift when you make space for and you accept and you're fully in acceptance of the moment, bringing in kindness and compassion while doing this, that has been a steady way to reduce the anxiety that can often arise.
Oh, Juliet, that is such an important topic, I think. Many people on the show I love because they've, delved in right to these really personal things that have happened to them. And it's so touching and also relatable. But I think that anxiety, especially in the last few years, is something that is not talked about enough, or maybe in some cases too much. But we all, I feel, have it to some degree. And sometimes it can be a good thing because it motivates you to get things done, or you have a bit of a healthy fear. But there are times when it can take over. And so I love how you talk about getting out of your mind and into your body, because a lot of us, myself included, love the avoidance because it doesn't feel good to feel that way. So hearing your perspective is actually super helpful. Sounds like you've been on quite a self-exploration journey over the last few years, getting to know yourself, what triggers you, and how to kind of resolve it. So on that note, do you do a daily meditation practice? Do you do it when you're feeling stressed? Like, for anybody who's watching or listening, these could be really awesome tools to incorporate. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So for me, what I have now been discovering is like I have a little bit of like the all or nothing tendency. That's why I love being a paramedic. I'm like,
Oh,
yeah,
that's my personality. I wonder where that's from.
yeah. And so recognizing like that's okay. That's great. That's helpful. We can get lots done. And in noticing that, for me, I'm all about the nervous system, all about regulating the nervous system. And so it's also noticing like, what is the intention behind what you're doing? So that the intention, the how you're going into it is actually can be more important, and if not more challenging to notice than the practice itself. So what I have done is been like, I'm going to have a meditation practice every day and I'm going to meditate at least. And then I'm like, oh, I'm going to be realistic too. I'm going to be 10 minutes a day. And I find that that kind of sometimes adds a little bit of pressure. So sometimes when you let go of that, but still have that intention in mind, knowing that's what you're going for, that's been helpful. So yeah, so I would say I try to bring in like a solid 10-minute meditation. I will say that's been the most profound practice that I've experienced this year, only in that like it's a practice, and that is so like for my mind, I'm the striver, the achiever, it's like to sit here and do like, what do you mean do nothing? And then the thoughts arise, they get louder, and so that's all a part of it. But it's really interesting what happens with practice. You do get to know yourself more, and at the end of it you're like, you know what, that was hard. I think my mind was racing the whole time, and I'm okay. I made it through the 10 minutes and I'm okay. So yeah, so I would say a 10-minute meditation practice, I just find is enough time. It's short enough that it's realistic. And then on days that I don't make the time for that, what I do practice is what I call an intentional pause. And so that can be, for me, the best reminder is in the car, like right before I open the door and get out of the car, or once I've gotten into the car before I start it, I take a moment for just that, just a breath, and to tune in. Here is what, and it's literally that short, and it's so effective. It allows your brain to tune in, right? Like take a little bit of a one pause from the regular rate of things. The other thing I'll share is I do listen to yoga nidras just because it's so nice to be guided. And for me, like I find it's not just the silence, which is when you can hear the thoughts more. The nice thing about being guided is that's where your mind follows during it. And yeah, I listen to that anytime. Like usually once a day, if not every other day. And for me, it's when I feel tired, when I feel irritable, or like kind of foggy headed. So afternoons is actually, if it's available, it's really nice. Even that there are nidras that are as short as 2 minutes and up to like an hour. So I find 20 minutes is like an optimal time where you actually get energy from it afterwards.
That's incredible and really good to note the different times, because for myself, also the busybody, I know it's hard for me to focus. So I've tried to do some meditations up to 10 minutes, and I need some more practice. So I think the 2 minute or the 5 minute is like perfect to start, and then working up to that optimal 20-minute window. If you can do an hour of yoga nidra, I think that is so fantastic and something that more of us should incorporate. And also just talking about that pause. It's like, okay, I'm feeling, what am I feeling? How is my body feeling? And taking a scan, because I think a lot of us just try and like rush through it because we don't want to feel that. So we're like, okay, get out of the car, go do this, get back in the car, start the car, get home. And then it's not till you're here you notice that your anxiety levels may be up to here and your normal is here. So yeah, that awareness, I think it does take time and effort and work, but to get to a place where you have a daily practice is so important and really special that you can do that and are able to share some of your knowledge with all of us here. So I really like that.
And I just want to add to really congratulate yourself anytime for any of the effort that you have done towards it. Like, I'll be honest, this morning I was noticing, anytime that I noticed the anxiety be higher, this morning I listened to a yoga nidra, and I was actually moving during it. And then I think I paused it halfway. Like, I don't think I really listened to most of it because that's just, I just wasn't in that state. But in thinking about it, it's like, I'm not going to beat myself up for the fact of how it went. The fact that you're willing and the fact that you're even beginning to think about it actually goes a long way.
Yeah, self-congratulations. I love it. We are, like you mentioned in the beginning, that self-critic, we're our own worst critic. And the way that we talk to ourselves is so crucial, because research shows, as you know better than I do, that more people have, I don't know, we have something like over 20,000 thoughts a day, and 75% or more are all negative. So to just, take that minute, time for yourself, yay. Congratulations. Those are two positive things already. And then just tell yourself, like, I'm really proud of myself for taking that pause this morning. Even if it didn't go quite the way that you had wanted it to, you still made the effort. And I think it's really important, as we're all perfectionists, that it's not about being perfect. It's just about putting that effort in. So that is a fantastic message. And I really appreciate that. So awesome. Okay. So as you've talked about kind of already, but we'll move into some of the things that you do to stay inspired on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's such a good, it made me really think this question. I would say nature, honestly, like getting out into nature is so healthy. So for me, I am an avid outdoorsy person. So if I can get out camping, any backcountry, yeah, that's the ideal. Like, that fills my cup fully. Hiking, mountain biking, cross country skiing, all of that is really great. I would say time with my partner, and yeah, that's really supportive and inspiring. And then actually jiu-jitsu, I practice jiu-jitsu as well. And for me, it's a constant reminder to have fun, because my tendencies going into that is like, I need to be great or improve, or I'm here to do a class. And so it's a constant reminder to simply have fun and be in the body, practicing something like that I just would never see myself doing. Yeah, I'd say reading as well. I read, not that I read a lot because of school right now. I just find that's taking up that space, but I have a lot of little inspiring books that I kind of take a quote or a page from here and there that I find really helpful.
Oh, I love that so much. And I think reading is very important for anyone who wants to be successful in any aspect of their life. I think a lot of us do too much binge watching. So I enjoy that you brought that up, which is not bad on occasion, but if you're watching an entire season every week, that might be a little bit much. So I really enjoy that you touched on that. And then just all your practices, like you said, nature, so important and scientifically actually proven to reduce anxiety, stress, depression. Just that connection, whether it's with nature or people, is a very important aspect of life. So I love that. And I also love the jiu-jitsu thing. I know Justin probably got you into that. For those that don't know, Juliet's boyfriend, I think he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu now, in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, which is amazing. And I used to train with him for a period of time at Pacific Top Team, which is a great place. So check it out if you want to try it. Juliet will kick your butt.
Yeah. my white belt will kick your butt. Yeah.
It's all about having fun, remember? That's fantastic. I love every point that you made, and trying something new too is a really good way to just get out there and make connections and have fun. So
absolutely. Yeah. I think being a learner, like that's something that I've started to become kind of like, man, I've been a student for so long, and it's just, it would be nice to feel content, like solidify, just practice this up, which I'm now doing and moving into. But with saying that, it is so humbling to be a student. I realize that I think us as humans, like we are naturally, we want to be seen as good enough or whatnot. And I just think if you're an adult and you are choosing to learn or try something new, that is so humbling and seriously good for you.
Yes, absolutely. And I love that, because many of us do live in our kind of ego mind as it protects us. But to get out of that and live a little more consciously than allowing it to take over and trying new things, you just, put down the ego, pick up some humility and try it out. Yeah. So that is fantastic. I really, really like that point. Which will bring us into our last one. You've given so many great pearls. I've really enjoyed this episode here, but tell all of the people listening, myself included, some advice that you could give them to maybe help them through difficult times, or, just any hardships they face in life.
Yeah. Oh, I have so many things to say. I'll try to streamline it. One thing that I've started to learn is when you start noticing any thoughts that are arising, well, first of all, practicing awareness is huge. Practicing, just starting to notice what are the thoughts going on in your head. Like if you haven't noticed that before, that's a shift on its own, to start to be like, oh, I'm hearing the thought that's saying you have to do this, or you have to do this, or you're not good enough. And so the first thing that I'll share is to really ask, is that really true? And just to get curious, is that really, really true right now? And so as much as your thoughts might make you think otherwise, you can begin to boil things down and look at that. Look at some evidence. So another piece that I will share is just recognizing neuroplasticity. It's really nice to see the research on that, and to recognize that our brains are conditioned to do what's familiar, because that is what's safe, even if that's not necessarily the healthiest outcome for you, but it's known and it's safe. And so the nice thing is that you can change that script in your life. It's possible to do that. I think that is ultimately the most inspiring thing, to know that your tomorrow, you get to choose. Like even though it might not feel that way at the time, but you get to choose how you'd like your life to unfold. And so with that, it's recognizing, what do you have control over? So maybe not necessarily the situation that you're looking at, but you can change your thoughts, and you can change in doing that, you can change any emotions that arise around that. So yeah, recognizing what do you have control over, that is what you can change, knowing that can change the trajectory of your life. When you begin to change your thoughts, life starts looking a bit differently. So for example, I've noticed that in certain circumstances, I have the option of grumbling and choosing to maybe not put in effort or whatnot. Or another option is to maybe bring some humor into the situation. Maybe, and this I did a lot as a paramedic in situations where I was like, oh gosh, or I bring in some laughter and like same situation, different experience.
Right.
So with saying that, I will also share that I recommend doing something that's different or uncomfortable, a different pattern, just for fun to try it out. We're so, like, once again, we like that pattern, we like what's familiar. And I challenge everyone to just, and even if that means like, it can be so subtle, like I might get up right away after this. Maybe I just try sitting here for literally 1 minute and just see what that's like instead. And like, yeah, when you start changing your regular patterns, yeah, it's just kind of, you start to realize like, oh, this is a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if I can share one more.
Yes, please share them all. I'm eating this up and everybody else is going to as well. These are pearls.
Okay, so this is a big one, and it's simple, and it can be scary, but and it might sound silly, but feel your feels. Literally feeling your feelings as sensations in the body. Feeling is healing. Oftentimes, when we what often happens, for example, this is what I've been learning through the pain clinic. Oftentimes the fear of something, like fear and anxiety, are oftentimes lids that are holding down a boiling pot of deeper emotions. And so those emotions are just simply sensations in the body. And so if you can start to feel like, what does, let's say, frustration or anger actually feel like, and like maybe it's heat in the body, maybe you're noticing it's kind of like expansive, or like maybe you start feeling the hands gripping or whatnot. When you can start to actually feel the feeling as a sensation and allow it to be, so like there's a part of you that's just aware, this is what I'm doing right now, and you allow it to be, it's oftentimes the fear of whatever that lid that's preventing things from moving through. So yeah, I would just recognize that and notice how the judgment tries to come in, and yeah, recognizing the subtle voice. And so with that, lastly, at the end of any practice that you do, anything that you're doing, the greatest suggestion I have is to tune inward. So either by closing your eyes, maybe it's putting a hand on your body somewhere, even on the shoulders. And then in that moment, just taking a pause and being like, what does my nervous system need right now? What does my nervous system need in this moment?
I love all of that. It's such great information. And I think something that's not really talked about a lot, unless you have therapy that you go to, and it depends on the type as well. Because I have found with like EVDR and that it's not as much focused on like the cognitive behavioral piece, which obviously there are two different types, but with CBT, it focuses a lot more on this kind of thing, like recognizing patterns and just like breath work and kind of realizing where you are in the moment. So I think that's important. Also, it's totally doable by each one of us to change. Like you said, it's our mindset and our kind of attitude that controls how our day is going to go. There are things that are out of your control, but however we choose to respond is, how that situation is going to kind of play out. So I really like all your pointers, and I think they're so, so vital to everyday life, especially with how things have been going. COVID has been difficult, and now the war and the floods and the fires in BC. There's just a lot of external stressors that I don't think people realize are really affecting them until they look at the big picture and they're like, oh my gosh, actually, yeah, I've been feeling a lot more stressed or not having as much fun and disconnected. So all the points that you brought up, Juliet, are just so fantastic. And I think it's really important that we all do a little bit of inner reflection and see where we can incorporate them.
Yeah, it's a powerful practice when you start to just accept, like full acceptance, like, okay, there's some shame right now, or there's some judgment right now, and be like, yeah, okay. And that's okay. I see that, I feel that, and also what's present right now. So, same thing with the fear, recognizing what's going on in the world can be absolutely terrifying. And in this moment, if you take a scan around in this present moment, I am safe. If you're able to recognize that, maybe what the nervous system needs in that moment is a glass of water. Maybe you need, it can be as simple as that. And as soon as you start tending towards that, really large shifts start to happen.
Oh, that's so great. I like that. And yeah, the simplicity behind it. It doesn't have to be some big thing that you do, like that hour-long meditation, like you said, or you just crushed a 3-hour workout, but now it's very inconsistent. It could just be the water or a pause or whatever. So I really, really love everything that you've shared today. And thank you so, so much for sharing your wisdom on the show here. And I hope that each one of you listening can take something home from Juliet, because she is truly a beautiful soul inside and out. And I really appreciate you coming.
Thank you, Megan. Thanks for having me.